Okay, so let's proceed. For this week's module overview, this PowerPoint presentation discusses the knowledge, skills, and attitude required to identify all possible solutions to solve a problem in the workplace through analysis. So, um, basically, ang matututunan niyo for this week or for this module is that you should be able to know ano ba yung mga skills na kailangan for you to be able to recommend, propose a solution sa isang technical problem, say for example sa isang system or sa isang uh, program. Okay, so paano nyo ma-identify yon? Ano yung mga possible solution? Okay, para uh, ma-resolve yung mga issues, technical issues sa isang system or sa isang program. Okay? May encounter nyo to once na kayo ay na-hire or na-employ na sa isang company. And then, inassign kayo sa isang project or sa isang task wherein you have to resolve certain issues, technical issues sa isang system or sa isang program. Okay? So basically, the objectives for today's lessons are the following. Okay? You'll be able to learn how to analyze the problems. Ano ba yung mga techniques or tools, okay, para makapag-analyze kayo ng isang problem, technical problem, system problem, or problem sa programming. Yan. And then, how are you going to identify fundamental causes of the problem? Now, hindi lang importante na ma-analyze nyo or ma-determine nyo yung problem. Technical problem, system problem. Di ba pag nag-analyze tayo pag nagde-debug tayo ng program, okay, hindi lang basta-basta ma-determine, hindi lang importante na ma-determine natin yung problem sa yung bugs or errors sa isang program or sa isang system. We also have to determine ano yung cause, bakit nagkaroon ng ganitong problem. Ano yung cause kung bakit na-encounter yung ganitong bugs or errors. Okay? And then after you identify the causes of the problem, okay, you are going now to enumerate possible solutions. Usually pag ikaw ay IT sa isang tawag dito, isang company or sa isang institution, okay? Pag may mga technical problems, say for example sa network, yan, ipapatawag si IT. So ikaw naman magto-troubleshoot and then you are going to identify ano yung problem at ano yung cause ng problem. So say for example sa isang network, hindi makapag-connect yung dalawang PC. So alam mo ngayon na yun yung problem, hindi makapag-connect. But ano yung cause kung bakit hindi siya nakapag-connect? So that's basically identifying causes of the problem. And once you identify yung cause, say for example, yung isang PC, mali yung kanyang IP address. So, i-recommend mo ngayon na dapat correct yung kanyang IP address para makapagkita yung dalawang PC. Okay, so these are basically the objectives for today's lesson. How are you going to identify possible solutions sa isang technical problem or sa isang problem sa isang system or sa isang program? Okay, so yan. So the first objective is analyze the problem. So the usually process of solving problem will initially include defining the problem you want to solve. Okay? So you cannot actually recommend a solution. You cannot propose a solution unless na-identify mo yung problem sa isang system, yung na-identify mo yung bugs or errors sa isang program. So first is you have to identify or determine ano ba yung problem nitong system na to. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, and then for us to be able to solve the problem, it is important to know what the problem is before we can determine the possible solution on how to resolve them. Okay, so importante na ma-identify natin yung problem. Okay, now according to Hicks, there are 7 steps for an effective problem solving process. So we have 7 steps in problem solving. Now, etong 7 steps na problem solving na to, okay, these are just not specifically applicable to analyzing a problem sa isang system or sa isang program. Very applicable to sa iba din na field. Okay? Kahit in reality, sa ating sarili, okay? Once na may problema tayo, we usually use the 7 steps. Hindi lang natin to, parang hindi lang tayo aware, but we usually use this also. Okay? So, ano yung mga steps na yon? So, number 1 is identify the problem. Ano ba yung problem? Okay, so you have to what? Identify, i-define mo yung mga problem. Okay, ano ba yung mga issues na kailangang i-resolve? Okay, number 2, understand everyone's interest. Sabi dito, look at the problem from a different angle. Think of the best solution that suits everyone's interest. Be an active listener. So, once na identify mo yung problem, you are now going to consider sino ba yung mga affected. Okay? Affected na users. Malay mo, say for example, nung na-identify mo yung problem, at yung problem ay hindi maka-access si ganitong user. Okay? So, you are now going to check doon sa system, sino pa ang mga user na hindi nakaka-access doon sa, or may problem doon sa access nila. Okay? So, you're just not going to focus on one problem, but sino yung mga involved doon sa problem na to. Okay? Kasi mali nyo, usually baga, ang isang system, interconnected siya. So, say for example, ang isang system, meron siyang iba't ibang access level. Iba yung access ni staff, iba yung access ni supervisor, iba yung access ni manager. Okay? Kasi say for example sa staff, ang pwede niya lang gawin say for example is mag-add, mag-edit ng data. Pero si supervisor siya naman yung nag-approve. Pero ang may access naman para mag-delete ng data is si manager. Okay? So interconnected yung kanilang mga access. So ibig sabihin, pag kayo ay magre-resolve, okay, ng isang problem at kayo ay magre-recommend ng solution, hindi lang kayo magfo-focus dun sa isa. You have to check on all users, all affected users. Kumbaga yung stakeholders natin. Okay, so yan. Number 3 is list the possible solutions. Okay, kaya nga sabi dito sa step number 2, think of the best solution. Ibig sabihin ng best, merong good, merong better, merong best. Kasi magkaiba yung correct solution sa best solution. Pag correct, ibig sabihin, isa lang ang tamang sagot. Pero pag sinabi nating best solution, may maraming pwedeng maging solution. Kaya lang, you have to kailangan yung timbangin yung mga pros and cons, advantages or disadvantages, okay, ng inyong proposed solutions. So that's why, kailangan nyo ng brainstorming. Okay? So lahat ng users or technical persons involved sa isang system, kailangan nilang mag-brainstorming. So sila ang magde-determine ano ba yung mga pros and cons ng bawat solutions and make a list of all the possible solutions. Say for example, mayroong problem sa network ng ng company, ng isang department. Okay, yung isang PC na-connect, yung printer hindi na-connect. Pero yung isang PC naman hindi na-connect. So most probably, okay, ano yung mga possible ang pwedeng maging problem doon is connectivity. Okay? So ano yung possible solution? Number 1, check nyo yung cabling. Okay? Another one is you have to check on the IP addresses. Okay? Nakakapag-ping ba sila? Okay? Pag sinabi natin ping, nakikita ba yung mga nodes or yung mga host or yung mga PCs? Okay? So these are the possible solutions or possible options na pwede nyong gawin. Okay? Yan. Number 4 is evaluate the options. Ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina na after listing all the possible solutions, okay, you are now going to assess, okay, or check ano ba yung mga pros and cons or advantages and disadvantages ng bawat solutions or ng bawat options. Kasi malay nyo yung isang options, ginawa nyo nga ito, pero nakikita nyo din na, okay, maapektuhan marami. So doon kayo sa list yung disadvantages, pero marami naman yung advantages niya. Okay? And then, after you evaluate the options, you are now going to what? Select the options or the best solution. After choosing the best solution, you are now going to document the decision. Bakit kailangan i-document decision? Bakit kailangan i-take down yung proposed solution? Kasi, para hindi na ito maiwasan, okay, hindi na ito once na encounter pa to, alam niyo na kung paano siya i-resolve. Okay, so sabi nga dito, it will help you know how to get it done and know the resources you might need. So, after din ma-identify yung solution, ano yung mga kailangan na resources. Pag sinabi nating resources sa programming, pwedeng software, pwedeng hardware. Kung ang problema is network, malay nyo, kailangan yung palitan yung cabling. Okay? So, bibili kayo ng cable. Okay? Malay nyo, may problema pala yung router. So, kailangan palitan yung router. So, isa yon. So, you have to what? Buy a new router. Isa yun sa mga solution. Okay? So, you have to document the decision. And number 7 is monitor and evaluate. Okay? Ibig sabihin nito, hindi lang nagtatapos, okay, sa pag-implement ng solution. So, binago mo, pinalitan mo yung router, pinalitan mo yung cabling, okay? Hindi lang doon nag-e-end yung problem solving. You have to check. You have to monitor ano yung effect or consequence ng pag-implement nyo ng solution. Ibig sabihin, nung napalitan nyo yung router, yung napalitan nyo yung cabling kasi wala nang connectivity yung mga PCs, ano yung effect? Wala na bang problem na na-encounter? Smooth na ba yung connectivity ng network? So yan. Para at least dun yung makikita, okay, tama yung ating solution. Okay? Kaya nga sabi dito, decide how to monitor decision and follow through for probable circumstances in the future. Sabi dito, probable circumstances para kung magka-problem ulit sa kanilang internet connectivity, okay? So you are going now to what? Balik kayo doon sa decision nyo or sa options nyo based doon sa documented na decision. So yan. So importante yung monitor and evaluate. So these are the 7 steps in problem solving. Okay? So we have 7 steps. Now, these steps, hindi nyo lang naman ito ginagamit specifically for addressing problems sa system, okay, sa program, okay, technical issues, yan. You can also apply this in reality, in your life, okay, as a student, okay. So, yan. Okay. Next is area of responsibility. Okay? So, sabi dito, it is not enough to identify the problem, but also to determine who is responsible and accountable to research and resolve the problem. Okay? So, paano to nangyayari? Say, for example, sa isang company, nagkaroon sila ng problem sa kanilang, again, network connectivity. So, sino ba yung responsible dun sa network connectivity? So, si manager, tatawagan niya yung IT department, yung manager ng IT, okay, IT supervisor, okay, para siya ang mag-research, mag-check kung bakit nagkaroon ng ganitong problem. Siya din yung responsible and accountable doon sa internet connectivity. Okay? Okay? So, yan. So, sabi dito, this is not to find out who to blame and start pointing fingers at them. Hindi dahil sa nagkaroon ka ng problema sa internet connectivity sa company nyo, ang may kasalanan ay si IT. Not necessarily. Okay? Kasi malay nyo, meron talagang problem din dun sa hardware or software itself ng PC nyo. Okay? Para at least, pag na-determine nyo yung sino yung responsible dun sa pagka-encounter nyo ng problem na yon or technical issues na yon, okay, hindi na to mag-recur, hindi na siya mauulit. At pag naulit na to, alam nyo na kung paano siya i-address. Okay? So sabi nga dito, this process is essential since identifying the responsible department could also help improve their process to avoid this problem from recurring in the future. Another example nito is, say for example, sa isang company, no? And bawat user may iba't ibang access level. Okay? May iba't ibang roles sa kanilang system. So say for example, sa staff, ang role niya is mag-add, mag-edit ng data. Anong data? Say for example, siya ay hospital. Anong pwede niyang ilagay? Yung information ng patient. Okay? Pwede niya ding i-edit ito. Pero habang ginagamit niya yung system, may na-delete siya. Say for example, may na-edit siya na hindi dapat. Okay? Hindi dapat dun sa patient information, hindi dun sa information ng patient. So, anong mangyayari? Affected yung kanyang bills, okay? Affected yung kanyang profile. So, nung chinek ni IT, nalaman niya na, okay, si ganitong user ang nag-cause ng ganitong problema. Kasi inedit niya yung profile niya, that's why affected din yung kanyang billing. Okay? So, hindi naman ibig sabihin na sisisihin mo si ganitong staff kasi inedit niya yung ganitong yung information ng ganitong patient. But, pwedeng yung baguhin or ayusin yung roles ng bawat staff para in any case, may iwasan yung pag-edit, maling pag-edit or pag-modify ng profile ng patient. Okay? Para in the future, hindi na itong mangyari. Okay? So, importante yung area of responsibility. That's why baga sa isang system, palaging tinatanong ano yung mga roles ng user. Ano ba ang capability ng bawat user? Ito ba nakakapag-edit, nakakapag-delete, nakakapag-generate ng report? Okay? Kasi dun papasok yung responsibility and accountability ng mga users. Okay? So, yan. Okay. So, meron ditong guide to find out the problem as well as its signs and symptoms. Okay? So, say for example, meron kayong problem sa output versus criteria. Ano yung mga signs? Say for example, nag-run kayo ng system nyo. Okay? At hindi to yung expected na na-generate na report. Okay? So, based doon sa signs, ang pwede yung mga signs na makakita doon ay maraming errors, delayed yung work, mali yung pagkakagawa ng task or ng work, incomplete yung na-generate na work, okay? At yung work ay hindi mismo nagawa. So definitely affected yung output ng system. Okay? Kasi once you create a system, okay, sa isang system, palagi siyang may expected na criteria. Ano bang expected dun sa system? That's why baga, ano ba ang kayang gawin ng system nyo? That's basically refer to the criteria. Okay? Nakakapag-generate ba siya ng report? Nakakapag-generate ba siya ng printed report? Okay? Nakakapag-compute ba siya? Yan. Okay? Once na hindi nyo nagawa, at based doon sa output, mali yung nakita nyo, okay? So, ibig sabihin, ma-determine nyo kaagad kung sino yung responsible based on the signs. Okay? So, pag na-encounter nyo yung signs, okay, may problem si ganitong user. So, yan. Okay? Yan. Another one is, how to identify the problem. Ano yung mga signs? Too many absences. Employees are dissatisfied. Too many turnovers. Pag sinabi nating turnovers, marami yung nagsisialisan or maraming nagre-resign. Okay? Ano yung problem? Okay? Paano ma-identify yung problem? You're going to what? Observe the employee's behavior. Bakit siya palaging absent? Okay? Bakit maraming nagre-resign? So, yan. Malaki yung turnover ng employees. Yan. Okay? So, another one is how to identify the problem. You can what? Get feedback from customers or vendors and suppliers. Ano yung mga possible na signs? Complaints, suggestions for improvement, loss of sales. Ibig sabihin, mahina yung benta. Okay? Or, walang benta. Or, bababa yung benta for this month or for this week. Yan. Okay? So, basically, these are how you are going to identify the problem based on the specific signs and area of responsibility. Okay? So, importante yung pag-delegate ng task or ng roles sa mga users. Okay. So, after mo identify yung problem, okay, you're now going to what? Identify the cause of the problem. Ano yung cause ng problem? Okay. Bakit niya to na-encounter? Okay, so yan yung next step, no? Para makapag-provide or makapag-recommend or propose ka ng solution bilang IT. Yan. So meron tayong tools, okay, para ma-identify mo yung cause ng isang problem. Okay? So ang tools na to is tawag dito is cause and effect diagram. Okay? So it is also called the Fishbone Diagram or Ishikawa Diagram. Okay, ginagamit to class kung kayo ay tawag dito, kumuha kayo ng course na IT, BS IT, and mayroong subject doon na capstone wherein you have to come up with a system, a proposed system, be it say for example, a payroll system, an enrollment system, attendance monitoring system, okay, so thesis, okay. So one of the tools para ma-identify niyo yung problem, ang ginagamit ito, cause and effect diagram or fishbone diagram. Okay. Now, it was developed by Kaoru Ishikawa in 1968. Bakit siya tinatawag na fishbone diagram? Because it looks like a fish skeleton. Okay? Kaya nga siya tinatawag na fishbone diagram. So, anong makikita natin dun sa diagram na to? Sa cause and effect diagram na to or fishbone diagram? ang makikita natin dito sa cause and effect diagram or fishbone diagram are the list of all possible causes of problem and its effect. Okay? So, kaya nga siya tinatawag na cause and effect. So, ito yung problem. Ano yung cause ng problem? Ano yung effect ng problem? Okay? So, after mong ma-identify yung cause, okay, ng problem and yung effect niya, you can now determine ano yung mga possible solution. Okay? So, meron tayong tools, and that is the Ishikawa or the fishbone diagram. Okay? So, according to Childress, okay, now this popular tool is used in industries such as manufacturing, marketing, service, and many more. So, ginagamit itong tool na to hindi lang sa field ng information technology, but sa manufacturing, marketing, and other services, and even in engineering. Okay? So the diagram can be used in any area that calls for critical thinking and brainstorming activities. Bakit brainstorming activities? Because you have to make a list of all causes, okay, ng problems ng isang system or ng isang program. Okay? Kaya siya brainstorming. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng isa lang ang ibibigay mong list, isa lang ang ibibigay mong cause. Kaya nga siya brainstorming kasi parang mag-meet yung mga technical people, okay? And then ito yung mga problems na encounter, okay? So yan. Yeah. Based doon sa scenario. Okay? So, sabi dito, in conducting cause and effect analysis, you need to examine the following areas. So, sa paggamit daw nitong fishbone diagram, okay, itong fishbone diagram, kailangan itong areas na to. Okay? Kailangan i-examine natin or i-assess itong 6 areas na to. The first one is methods. Pag sinabi natin methods, it refers to problems or difficulties encountered in the process or operation. Say for example, dun sa isang company, meron silang problem sa kanilang payroll system. Okay? So, you have to check first, ano ba yung process ng pag-compute ng kanilang payroll system. So, you have to determine yun. Okay? That refers to the methods. Ano yung mga process? Say, for example, kukunin mo na yung attendance, kukunin yung mga benefits, kukunin yung late, magkano ba yung sahod ng itong empleyado na to. Okay? That basically methods. Kailan ba pinaprocess yung payroll, yung days ng pasok ng employees, yan. Methods. That refers to the process or the operations. People. Okay? Refer to any person that may have contributed to the undesired outcome. So, sino ba yung mga user? Sino ba yung mga involved? Okay? Kung yan ay payroll system, ang involved dyan ay lahat ng staff and then si HR. Okay? Measurement conveys the data gathering and time. For how long? 15:30 ba? Yan. Okay? Equipment comprises errors caused by technology or computer software or hardware. So, pag sinabi natin software, meron na ba silang application? Meron na ba silang system para mag-compute ng payroll? Hardware, may computer ba sila? Ano yung mga kanyang specification? Ano ba yung processor niya? Ano ba yung memory niya? Ano ba yung storage ng kanyang PC? Yan. That refers to equipment. And materials, okay, ano ba yung mga issues na na-encounter dun sa system or sa hardware ng kanyang PC or sa PC niya mismo. And then environment is, it includes problems with the surroundings. Malay nyo, hindi na process ng tama yung payroll because maraming trabaho si HR, parang ganon. Or there are parang problems sa kanilang operations or sa office mismo. Okay? So yan. So these are basically the 6 areas, okay, na kailangan niyong i-consider, okay, para makapag-determine kayo ng cause or magkapagkanda kayo ng cause and effect analysis ng isang problem. Okay? So yan. So this is the a figure ng fishbone diagram. So, kaya nga sabi ko kanina, kaya siya tinatawag na fishbone kasi it looks like a skeleton fish. Yan. Okay? So, nakita mo dito yung bones ng fish. Kaya siya fishbone diagram. And you have here the 6 areas, the methods, the measurement, materials, people, equipment, and environment. So, you're now going to identify ano yung cause, okay, sa area ng method, measurement, materials, people, environment, and equipment para ma-determine mo kaagad yung problems to be solved. Okay? So, yan. So, mayroon ditong example. Okay? So, it is a situation wherein you can apply the fishbone diagram. Okay? Sabi dito, your computer teacher divided you into 5 groups with 5 members each and assigned the final project. So, may final project sa teacher. Okay? Gagawa daw kayo ng programming, tawag dito, a program. Okay? Yan. Hinati kayo sa 5 grupo with 5 members each. Okay, so sabi dito, the teacher explained everything, but there seems to be a new requirement defined every day. So, in-explain naman ni teacher yung requirement dun sa program, requirement niya, okay? Pero, bawat araw, may dinadagdag or may ina-add na requirement sa teacher. So, ibig sabihin, pabago-bago yung requirement sa teacher. Okay, so parang kayo din, bilang gagawa kayo ng project, hindi nyo na alam kung anong gagawin. Okay? So, yan. And then, sabi dito, due to the pressure, you all started the project without sitting down and discussing your plan. Kasi nga, may deadline na binigay sa teacher, okay? Ang ginawa niyong group nyo is that, okay, nag-start kayo sa project without planning, okay? Ano ba yung, without determining ano yung mga tasks ng program, ano yung mga activities na kailangan yung gawin, okay? Para magawa niyo yung program na, which is your project, okay? Yan. And then, sabi dito, one of your group mates is always absent. No, nangyayari to class. In reality, no, pag may pa-group project sa teacher, talagang isa sa mga group member nyo ay magiging laging absent or hindi available, cannot be reached. Yan. Okay? So, one of your group mate is always absent at yung iba naman and the other two do not have enough skills in programming. So, take note, ang project ni teacher is kayo daw ay gumawa ng isang program, okay, with requirements, yan, defined every day. Ang problema is that yung dalawa, okay, walang idea sa programming at yung isa, ibig sabihin, palaging absent. So, ibig sabihin, 5 kayo, 2 na lang kayong mag-work ng maayos. Okay, so yan. And then, sabi dito, you just paid for the field trip and have no extra money for the project. So, malay nyo kasi, para magawa nyo yung project, kailangan i-upgrade yung PC mo. So, wala kang extra money for the project kasi binayad mo yung pera mo dun sa field trip. And then, sabi dito, the internet connection at your house is slow and your computer has slow performance. So, isa pa ito sa mga situation. Okay? And then, to add to all this, some of the other groups are working loudly in the computer laboratory. So, since hindi ka nga makagawa sa bahay, kasi mabagal yung internet connection at ang computer mo is mababa lang yung kanyang specifications, you try to do your project sa school. Unfortunately, okay, may ingay naman yung mga nandun sa laboratory. Okay? Despite all this, okay, trinay nyong gawin yung project, okay, para masubmit nyo siya within the deadline. Unfortunately, okay, sabi dito, delayed kayo ng pag-submit ng project nyo. So, ito yung situation. Okay? So, in reality, nangyayari to. Okay? So, how are we going to apply this sa isang fishbone diagram? Okay? So, ito yung ngayon, yung kanyang fishbone diagram. Now, if we're going to list down the possible causes of the problem and categorize them by method, ito yung 6 areas, no? Method, people, measurement, equipment, materials, environment. Okay, number 1, sa process, pag sinabi natin method, this refers to the process or operations. Inconsistent requirements, kasi pabago-bago sa teacher ng requirements. Iba yung sinabi niya kahapon, iba yung sinabi niya today. That's why affected yung paggawa niya ng project. And then, poor prioritization. Okay, bakit nagkaroon ng poor prioritization? Kasi nga, sabi dito, pressured kayo, basta lang nyo ginawa yung project. So, hindi nyo alam alin ang dapat dun sa mga task ang kailangan nyo i-prioritize. Okay? So, yan. And lack of planning. Kasi nga, basta lang kayo nag-start ng project para ma-hit nyo yung deadline. Okay? Okay, under people, no required skills. Kasi bakit? Based dun sa situation na ito, isa, okay? 2 dun sa ka-groupmates mo ay walang skill sa programming. So, isa yan sa magiging cause, no? Yan. no required skills. Lack of communication, kasi yung isa palaging absent. Okay? And yung absenteeism din ng isang group mates nyo ay isa din yun sa kailangan i-consider. Under people siya. Okay? Measurement, did not track the progress. Okay? Bakit did not track the progress? Since nag-start kayo agad-agad kasi nga pressured kayo, okay, at wala kayong planning ng inyong mga activities, take note, no? Pag mayroong project, dapat meron kayong time frame kung kailan nyo i-start yung ganitong activities, kailan yung documentation, kailan yung coding, kailan yung debugging, kailan yung testing ng inyong program. Okay? So, wala kayong nilagay, hindi kayo nag-conduct ng or wala kayong tracking ng progress ng mga activities nyo. Kasi di ba pag gagawa kayo ng isang program, okay, kailangan nyo munang intindihin kung ano para saan, ano ba ang kailangan gawin, ano ba yung expected na output ng program, ano ba yung expected na input. Okay? Paano niya to i-process. So once na-identify mo yung input, yung output, you're now starting with the coding. Okay? After ng coding, ite-test nyo siya. Okay? Pag may error, i-debug nyo siya. Saka nyo siya i-implement. Okay? Para tapos na kaagad yung inyong project. That becomes your final project. Okay? So dapat meron kayong time frame doon sa project ni teacher. Okay? So isa yan sa measurement. And another one is under budget. Kasi bakit? Based dito sa situation na to, wala kang extra money for the project itself. Okay? So yan. So yan sa mga problems dito sa measurement. And the lack of accountability. What does it mean? Lack of accountability. Ang ibig sabihin, hindi kayo nag-delegate ng task. Sino ba ang gagawa sino ba ang magsusource, at sino ba ang magko-code, sino ba ang gagawa ng documentation, ano yung task ni member na ganito. Okay? So, hindi lang dapat sa isang group activity, dapat you delegate the task. Okay? Para at least may expected output kayo at the end of the day. Okay? So, yan. Equipment, poor internet connection, slow computer. So, this is under equipment. Materials, outdated computer. Kasi nga, mabagal yung inyong laptop or computer. Environment, hindi ka makagawa ng project nyo kasi ang iingay sa computer lab. Okay? So, ito yung possible causes, okay, based doon sa situation and based din dito sa per area ng cause and effect diagram or fishbone diagram. Okay? So, paano natin siya i-rewrite, i-illustrate sa isang fishbone diagram? So, ito ngayon yung illustration. Okay? So, methods, you identified 3 problems. Measurement, you identified 3 problems. 3 causes, sorry. Materials, 1 cause. People, 3 causes. Equipment, slow, okay, 2 causes. And environment, 1 cause. So, dahil dito sa causes na to, okay, ano yung naging problem yun? Na-miss niyo yung pag-submit ng project on time. Late kayo ng 1 week. Okay? So, dahil dito, okay, kaya baga usually tatanungin kayo yung teacher, bakit kayo late? Kasi si ganito, si ganyan, mahina yung computer, yan. Yan. So, these are the causes kung bakit, okay, na-miss nyo, no, pag-submit ng project on time. So, this is just an example, no, kung on how are you going to apply fishbone diagram in analyzing a problem. So basically, fishbone diagram is a tool for you to be able to what? Analyze the problem. Okay? So yeah. Okay, so we have another tool. Okay? So ang tawag sa kanya is the 5 whys technique. Okay? So ginagamit din to para ma-identify natin kung ano yung cause ng problem. Okay? By simply answering the 5 whys. Okay? Now this was developed by Sakichi Toyoda, a Japanese, no, in 1930. Okay? So the 5 whys technique is very useful when the solutions come from people who have understanding of the process being observed. So mas maganda to kung yung magre-resolve ng technical problem, magde-debug ng problem, mag-identify ng error sa system, ay may idea na doon sa system. Okay? So yan. So how are we going to apply this? Okay, so sabi dito, consider this sample problem. Okay? You were not able to participate in annual field trip. So hindi ka daw naka-join doon sa annual field trip. So ang tanong, why? Kaya nga why eh. 5 whys. So why? Number 1, you didn't have money to pay for the field trip fee. Definitely, hindi ka makaka-join kasi wala kang pera. Okay? Number 2 why is that you used the money to contribute to your group project in science and you have hit the deadline. Okay? Meron kang money pero meron ka sanang nakaalat na money para dun sa field trip, kaya lang ginamit mo yun for your science project. Okay? Another why is that you first attempt to create a ladybug robot failed, but it failed and only few of the materials can be recycled, so you need to buy a new parts again, which are a bit expensive. Okay? So parang nag-create ka daw ng ladybug robot, kaya lang, since siya ay first attempt mo, okay, nirecycle mo yung materials, yung iba, kaya lang, yung ibang parts binili mo. So, nagamit mo yung pera. Okay. Another way is, you and your group mates did not conduct enough research before doing the project, thus leading to inevitable errors. Okay? So, isa pa to sa mga reason kung bakit hindi kayo naka-join sa field trip. And the number 5 why is, your group crammed because you all thought that the project was easy enough to be done in one day. So basically, etong 5 whys technique is used, okay, to identify or to determine ano yung reason, ano yung causes, ano yung cause or causes, okay, why you were not able to join the field trip by answering 5 whys. Okay. So why? So eto kasi ganito, kasi ganito, kasi ganyan. Okay, so that's the 5 whys. So basically, by answering this the whys, okay, you can identify or determine the cause of the problem. Okay, so dahil dito sa etong mga to, you use yan, okay, etong mga, by answering this 5 whys, okay, ang cause niyan is eto. Yun yung mga causes. Ang problem ngayon is, you were not able to participate in the annual field trip. Okay, so that's the 5 whys technique. Okay. Okay, so after determining the cause of the problem, you are now going to determine the possible solution. So the first is you analyze the problem, you determine or define the problem. The second is you, what do you call this? Identify or determine the cause of the problem. And the last one is, okay, so alam mo na yung problem, alam mo na yung cause ng problem, you're now going to recommend or determine the possible solutions. Ganun naman, di ba? Pag may problema tayo, ano ba yung problema? Bakit ko ba ito na-experience na problem na to? So, once na alam mo na yung problem at yung cause ng problem, okay, dapat ganito yung gagawin ko. Okay, so, we are now here sa determine possible solution. So, once you have identified the problem you want to solve and have analyzed the cause of that problem, the next stage is to determine the possible solution. So, you must concentrate on generating many solutions and not evaluating all of them. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Ang ibig sabihin lang nito, class, is that i-list down nyo lang lahat ng solution. Huwag yung parang, ito yung solution kasi ganito. No. I-list nyo lang muna lahat ng solution. Okay? Huwag nyo munang parang i-assess na ito yung solution kasi. No. I-list nyo lang lahat kasi okay. Pwedeng ito yung mga solution. Palitan yung cable, i-check yung IP address, i-check yung LAN port, yan. I-check yung wireless port, yan. Okay? List lang muna yung mga solutions. Okay? And consider all the alternatives to increase the assessment of your final solution. So, that's how we determine the possible solution. So, after listing the possible solution, okay, sabi dito, sometimes, in order for us to solve a problem, we need to review the company's goals and objectives. So, after listing all the possible options or solutions, okay, i-check nyo ngayon kung ito bang mga solutions na to ay naka-align doon sa objectives or purpose ng organization. Okay? Sabi dito, a problem definition process often starts with identifying the major problem and breaking it into pieces to identify the underlying issues. Okay? Okay, ang tanong dito, class, bakit kailangan yung i-check, okay, yung mga solution dun sa objectives or goals ng business. Okay? Kasi, mali nyo, okay, ikaw yung IT. Ngayon, nakita mo na kailangan palitan yung system na ginagamit ng company. Kaya lang, okay, nung chinek mo yung company goals nila is that wala silang budget for acquiring a new system. So definitely, hindi ka pwedeng mag-recommend ng ganun solution. Kasi wala ngayon dun sa objectives. Kasi for example, yung company is nagtitipid, okay? Kasi they just have the company just has a limited resources in terms of finance, okay, pera, okay, financial, okay? So definitely list 'yon sa mga possible solution mo. Okay? So that's why baga dun sa ito, determine possible solution. You just have first to what? List the solution. Huwag mo muna siyang i-assess. I-evaluate kung ito na yung pinaka-best. Okay? Kasi after listing the possible solution, i-check mo ngayon siya. Ito ba ay naka-align doon sa uh, goals and objectives ng company or ng business? So how are you going to do that? First is, ano ba yung purpose ng business? Okay? Siya ba ay for profit or non-profit? For profit siya, ibig sabihin, nag-generate ng income yung company. Pag non-profit, ibig sabihin, parang the company is a non-tawag dito, they just offer services, free services. So definitely, pag free services ang company, ibig sabihin, walang generate na income, wala, paano mo i-recommend na bumili ng ganitong equipment, ng ganitong system? So wala siyang pera, no? So yan. So list 'yon sa mga possible solution mo. Mag-acquire ng panibagong system. Take note, pag nag-acquire ng panibagong system, it will add what? Cost sa company. So you have to determine kung yung company ba is a profit or non-profit. Kung profit yan, since nakakapag-generate yung company, okay, ibig sabihin, financially, may capability yung company to acquire a new system. So importante na i-check mo muna yung solution mo doon sa objectives and goals ng company. Okay? Does the company have plans for expansion? May plan ba siya lang magtayo ng other branches? Okay? What is the company's technology culture? Sila ba is more on innovation? Pro-innovation ba ang company or hindi? Baka naman okay na yung company na ganito lang yung system na gagamitin nila. So definitely you cannot recommend for a what? A new system or a high-end system. Yan. Okay? May budget ba yung company for technology? Kasi baka wala naman, so bakit ka magpo-propose ng ganitong solution or options, no? And do the employees have the required skills? Kasi take note, they are the one who are what? Going to use the system. So dapat meron silang skills. Okay? So after listing all the possible solution, okay, the next step is to check kung yung mga solutions na ipopropose nyo ay naka-align doon sa objectives and goals ng company. Otherwise, sayang ng pag-recommend mo ng solution. Bakit? Most probably, hindi yan na-aprobahan ng management. Okay? So yan. Okay. So determining strength and weaknesses or weakness of a problem. So a problem can be both a strength and weakness. Okay? So a possibility determined through interviews, observation, and document analysis with the customer or users. Di ba sometimes may mga unexpected na nangyayari? Say, we have encountered a problem, okay, na parang pag problem, usually negative siya, di ba? So, it's like, okay, it's a weakness. But sometimes, it's a blessing in disguise. So, parang it becomes a what? A strength. Parang ganon. So, paano mo siya malalaman kung isang problema ay strength and a weakness? You can determine that by what? Conducting an interview, by observation, by document analysis. Pag sinabi natin document analysis, based on the data gathered doon sa customers or users. Okay? Yan. So, to identify points related to the issues through users' interviews para daw ma-identify natin yung mga issues, okay, based sa interview, okay, ito daw mga gagawin natin. Number 1, letting the users determine an issue or problem that is repeated many times in different situations by different people. So based doon sa, okay, yung staff, tatanungin mo siya, ano ba yung mga na-encountered mong problem palagi, okay, sa connectivity mo. Okay? So sometimes sasabihin niya, sometimes na-connect ako, minsan na hindi ako na-connect. Okay? Sometimes na-connect ako sa ganitong website, sometimes naman dito sa site na to, hindi. Okay? So yan. At titingnan mo doon, sino yung mga users na to ang naka-expected ng ganitong problem. Okay? Kasi malay nyo, nandun yung solution. Okay? Number 2, letting the users communicate through metaphors such as comparing the business to a journey, a game, or a machine. Yan. Number 3, letting the user speak at length about a topic. Hahayaan mo siyang mag-express ng kanyang experience doon sa paggamit na ng system. Yan. Number 4, letting the users tell you outright what the major problem is. Di ba pag magpapacheck ka ng, say for example, ng laptop mo, sira kasi yung laptop mo, sasabihin mo doon sa mag-aayos sa IT tech, sa IT na, eto yung problem, hindi ako nakakapag-save ng ganito. So, basically, alam mo kaagad, okay, kung ano yung, okay? And number 5 is observing the user's body language and their implications. Sabi nga natin, we usually communicate with our peers, okay, with our colleagues, with our staff, through pwedeng oral, sasabihin natin yung problema, or pwedeng written, okay, i-report natin siya, or pwedeng verbal, okay, body language, non-verbal, yan. And number 6 is listening to the first things the user says. It might be the real problem. Kung ano yung unang sinabi ng user, malay nyo, ito na yung main problem. Okay? So that's how we determine, okay, the strength and weaknesses of a problem through an interview. Okay? So that's basically determining the strength and weakness. Kasi malalaman mo kagad doon, okay, ito yung mga strength ng problem na to. Ito din yung weaknesses niya. And by identifying its strength and weaknesses, alam mo kaagad kung paano siya i-solve or i-resolve. Okay? So after determining the solution, okay, you're now going to what? Determine the corrective action. Okay? So now that the possible solutions are identified, it is important to keep the problem from happening again in the future. Okay? Kasi take note class, sa isang malaking company, okay, big companies, okay, magkaroon lang ng problema sa system nila, okay, hindi pwedeng maayos siya within the day. Dapat maayos siya agad-agad. Because, okay, take note na pag may problem ang isang system, okay, millions ang nawawala sa kanila. Okay? So, importante na maayos ka agad siya. At, okay, importante na hindi na ito mangyari. Okay? Or ma-encounter yung ganitong problem. That's why importante na documented yung pag-resolve ng ganitong pag-troubleshoot ng isang system error. Okay? So, yan. So, in this case, corrective actions are required. Okay? So, here are the general corrective actions process when it comes to programming problems. So, meron daw tayo ditong general process kung paano tayo correct ng action. Ibig sabihin na aayusin mo na ngayon, i-implement mo na ngayon yung solution. Okay? Number 1 is locate and properly document the cause of the program, bug, or error. Okay? So saan bang part? Sa user ba? Sa pag-generate ba ng report? Sa connectivity ba? Okay? And you have to take down notes. Para at least alam mo, pag nag-troubleshoot ka, okay, ito pala yung problem sa mga na-encounter or cause ng problem. Okay? Scan the entire program and make sure that there are no similar bugs and errors. So, hindi lang dahil sa na-locate mo yung errors, dun ka lang mag-focus. Malay nyo, kinorek mo siya, pero affected pala yung ibang parts ng program or ng system. At malay mo sa ibang part may ganun ding errors. Okay? So, importante na hindi lang yung part na yon or module na yon ng program ang i-check. Kailangan yung entire program itself. Okay? Number 3, analyze the effect that the bugs and errors have on the program. Okay? Hindi naman basta-basta ka lang papalitan mo yung error doon. Okay? Analyze mo, anong nangyayari? Pag pinalitan ko ba to, ito yung magiging consequence niya. Yan. Okay? And establish a follow-up to assure the effectiveness of the corrective actions to prevent recurrence of the error. So once na na-correct mo yung error, na-detect mo yung bugs, okay, kailangan mo siyang scan lahat, i-check, i-run ng i-run hanggang sa makita mo na smooth na yung flow ng system or ng program. Okay? So, kailangan din i-check para ulit or i-follow up or evaluate. Okay? Para next time, hindi na itong mangyari yung na-encounter na problem. Okay? So, yan. So, that's it. That's the lesson for this week or for today. So, basically, I discussed how to analyze the problem, how to determine the cause of the problem using the two tools. Ano ba yung tools natin? The first one is the Fishbone Diagram and the 5 whys technique para makapag-analyze tayo ng cause ng problem. And the number 3 is identify possible solution based doon sa nakita niyong problem ng system or ng isang program.